Chelsea fans, that was a tough watch. Chelsea managed to get a 2-0 victory over Heidenheim in the Conference League to remain number 1 in the league table. Heidenheim were Chelsea's toughest opponent in the Conference League so far, and it wasn't a walk in the park. But we did manage to grind out the result and get the 3 points. Now, there were some positives and some negatives within this performance, so in this video, I'm going over 5 things that we learned from FC Heidenheim 0, Chelsea 2. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community and let's get into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is Jorgensen should be Chelsea's number 1. And myself and other Chelsea fans are screaming for Enzo Maresca to use Jorgensen this Sunday against Villa. Will we see it happen? Probably not, but I don't know what else Jorgensen can do. He was absolutely fantastic tonight. The countless saves that kept us in the game were unbelievable. Saves at the near post, far post, collecting crosses. Anything that came in his area, he commanded it and demanded the ball and got it every single time. His calmness on the ball is something that Maresca was screaming about at the start of the season and what he wants Robert Sanchez to do, and he quite clearly cannot do it to the same ability as Philip Jorgensen. Now, you may say, and rightly so, there is a disparity in terms of the teams who play in the Conference League to the Premier League. But Heidenheim were the closest thing to a Premier League opponent because they are in the Bundesliga. Now, yes, you could say they're fighting relegation in the Bundesliga. Currently, we're still early on in the season. But Heidenheim put on a lot of pressure, created a lot of chances, and Jorgensen dealt with it absolutely fine. Now, am I saying that Jorgensen is perfect? No, but after that performance, it completely outshines Robert Sanchez, and you can already see why Chelsea brought Jorgensen in to eventually compete with Sanchez for that number 1 spot. Now, we do have a lot of games coming thick and fast over the Christmas period, and I'm really hoping that we will see Jorgensen play some Premier League minutes because the way Sanchez has been so inconsistent, yes, he's a great shot stopper, but his decision-making, his positioning, very, very poor in most of the games. Jorgensen proved that he should be Chelsea's number 1. Honestly, some of the saves he made against Heidenheim genuinely kept us in it, and they were outstanding saves. These weren't saves you see once in a blue moon. These were controlled and decided saves that Jorgensen had from instinct. He was class. The amount of times that Heidenheim pressed us so high on our own box, and Jorgensen was just cool, calm, and collected, and I don't think he put a pass wrong tonight. He was so composed on the ball, and we know that Maresca wants a ball-playing goalkeeper, and that's what Sanchez lacks massively. Jorgensen really proved the point tonight, and I genuinely feel that he should be Chelsea's number 1. Another side of Jorgensen's game that we saw tonight, which we don't ever see from Sanchez, is he was very, very vocal. He was always talking to that back line, and he was always showing an option as that almost third centre-back in that back 4 to make it a back 5. Always available to receive the ball, always happy to receive the ball, got us out of tight situations when we were facing a high press against us. And the leadership there in terms of always communicating with that back 4, we never see Robert Sanchez do that. The second thing I want to talk about is Jadon Sancho. How good was Jadon Sancho tonight? On his return, he claims 2 assists. This guy plays exactly how Enzo Maresca wants him to play. He was always beating a man. He was always making the right decision. It's something I genuinely love about Jadon Sancho is he doesn't rush any decisions that he makes on the ball. Some Chelsea fans get frustrated that he doesn't just cut in and shoot. I don't think Jadon Sancho is that type of player. He is a very systematic player, and I feel like he's very comfortable on holding onto the ball right until the last second until he can make a decisive pass or that through ball or even get a shot off on occasion. This guy has been ill. He's had knocks in training. We had international breaks. We've not seen him play for a long while. And he comes in the Conference League against Heidenheim, which was a tough team to play, tough to break down, and they had pressure on us for large spells of the game. And he carves out 2 opportunities to get 2 assists, one for Mykhailo Mudryk, who we'll speak about in a minute, and also for Christopher Nkunku to get another goal. That guy is unbelievable. Jadon Sancho now has 5 assists in his last 6 Chelsea matches. This guy has been one of our best signings. Now, do I expect Jadon Sancho to play in the Conference League a lot this season? No, because he is too good for that competition in that Chelsea side, and he will be playing first team Premier League minutes as much as possible this season, because when his decision making is that good and he's that decisive and does contribute to goals and assists. Every time he plays, he's going to be playing in the first team. Unreal performance from Jadon Sancho tonight. The third thing that I want to talk about is Christopher Nkunku is inevitable in this competition. Now, you might say there is a disparity between the teams, and granted, for some of them, there is a huge disparity. But against Heidenheim, this was our first real test where we had a well-organised, well-drilled team that were probably ranked a lot higher than some of the other teams in the Conference League. Despite that, you can only play who's in front of you, and Christopher Nkunku now has 10 goals in the last 11 European matches he's played. In this competition, he has played 4 games and scored 5 goals and got 1 assist. That's 6 GA in the last 4 games. Now, you may say, well, that's expected of him. But Christopher Nkunku is keeping his form red hot while playing in this competition and really knocking on the door for trying to get more minutes in the Premier League. I really like Christopher Nkunku. He is a world-class player. I genuinely believe that. He's one of my favourites. I've liked him for years, especially when he was at Leipzig, because you could see how much of a threat he has. And at Chelsea, yes, he had that long-term injury when we first signed him. And this season, he struggles to get minutes within the Premier League. I understand that, and I understand it must be frustrating for Nkunku. But when he keeps performing like this, he can be quiet all game, he gets a chance, goal. This is such good shooting practice and match sharpness, and he is doing everything he can to be on form and knocking on the door of the first team. Christopher Nkunku is inevitable in this competition. And in my personal opinion, I don't think Christopher Nkunku is a straight out-and-out 9. I think we can all see that. He plays better playing off of a striker or in that number 10 role. And he's not going to be getting a lot of chances in those positions in the Premier League. But in the Conference League, we're playing him as a 9. He links up very well with that number 10. It's usually João Felix in that spot. I think their link-up play is very, very good. But he's doing the business every time it is required of him. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is we let our foot off the gas. Now, there were large spells of this game where we were under pressure by Heidenheim. Now, yes, they are a better opposition than what we faced so far in this competition. There were levels between, let's say, the Noah game and the Heidenheim game. We can see that massively. Heidenheim were very well organised, they had a game plan, and they brought it to Chelsea. They really wanted to get a result out of this. And on another day, they could have beaten us. Now, we took our foot off the gas in so many areas of this game when we were in possession and had control and the momentum was shifting our way. There were just so many laps of judgment across the pitch, and we just didn't have that intensity. It was very lethargic. It was very passive, pedestrian at times, and it was frustrating to see because we know how good this squad can play. Now, I understand you're not going to keep up 100% intensity for 100% of the game. I'm fully aware of that, and we did see improvements in spells of the game, and obviously we broke through Heidenheim's defence and got a couple of goals. But it just wasn't convincing. We honestly made this game a lot harder than it needed to be. And again, credit to Heidenheim because they put the pressure on. They came at us and wanted to get a result. And like I said, on another day, they would have beaten us. But I don't think Chelsea were strong enough and switched on enough for long periods of the game. And we just let our foot off the gas. And it's something that we just don't want to be seeing. Because against better opposition in different competitions, we will be punished. Let's just take the Newcastle game in the Carabao Cup. It's a prime example of not turning up, not being defensively switched on, and not having your foot on the gas. We got decimated. And yes, that is the disparity of the opposition. I understand that. But still, the point stands. I'm not saying we have to be perfect every single game. I'm grateful for the result. We managed to grind that out. But it's something that I noticed, and I just thought it was something worth highlighting. And before we get into the fifth and final thing we learned from FC Heidenheim 0, Chelsea 2, I have 2 honourable mentions. And the first one being, we kept a clean sheet. Now, this may not sound a lot to you guys. You may think, well, yes, we shouldn't be conceding goals in the Conference League. And to be honest, we've only conceded 3 in the competition so far. Now, you could say that we shouldn't be conceding goals in this competition because of the disparity of opponents. And like I always say, you can only play who is in front of you. And so far, we've only conceded 3 goals in the entire competition. 3 goals in the last 4 games is a stark difference to what we're conceding in the Premier League. Now, it could have been a very different story because Heidenheim created a lot of chances and put a lot of pressure on Chelsea, and Jorgensen had a perfect game to keep that clean sheet, and the defence was relatively solid considering we were conceding so many chances. I just think a clean sheet is very important for this Chelsea side, for confidence for the squad, to know that we are capable, and it also adds more points for Jorgensen in terms of, look, when I'm playing, we're not conceding goals. That should go with me when I'm challenging Robert Sanchez for that number 1 spot. It's just very rare this season we see Chelsea keeping a clean sheet, and it needs to be highlighted. This was a difficult game for us where we had to grind out the result and play the gritty style football after a slow start and poor spells throughout the game. When you just look at the scoreline, you see Chelsea 2, Heidenheim 0, up. Chelsea dominated and got the victory. That's what we expected. But if you watch the game, you'll know that that was far from the truth. I really think that the boys can learn a lot from these types of games because we didn't play our best football and we ground out the result. And it's very, very important to have those characteristics within the squad. Obviously, Jorgensen had a great game and Heidenheim didn't really know the offside rule, which we'll talk about in a second. But it was just a good clean sheet to keep. And the second honourable mention is Mykhailo Mudryk's tournament. What a goal from that lad. That's 2 games in the Conference League back-to-back where he scored an absolute screamer. There was no goalkeeper on the planet that was going to save Mykhailo Mudryk's shot. It was outstanding. Now, it was a great bit of play with KDH picking the ball up on the break, supplying Sancho, who then supplied Mudryk with the assist, but nestled straight into the top corner with pace and precision. Unbelievable goal. Mykhailo Mudryk is a confidence player and he's picking up confidence within this competition. Now, some rival fans are saying, oh, well, look, he's found his level, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But from Chelsea fans' perspective, we've wanted Mudryk to do well for so long. And this is where we finally see massive steps in his improvement in his overall game. He looks sharper, he looks confident, he's beating a man, his passing's on point, he's now scoring goals. This is everything we wanted to see from Mykhailo Mudryk. And the Conference League has almost unlocked this new confidence and new side of Mudryk that we've not seen. I'm genuinely really happy with Mykhailo Mudryk because this season he has stepped his game up and like I said, he's found this new form within the Conference League and we want it to continue. I still think he's a little bit off of starting in the Premier League, but I do feel like he could be a very important super sub or an impact sub, if you will, in the Premier League. Now, I did talk to a good friend, SciGTV, in the upcoming match preview against Villa, which is on the channel. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. He made a very good point. If you start Mykhailo Mudryk in the Premier League currently, you're going to undo all the progress that's been made with him. He is definitely going to be an impact sub or a super sub or someone that can inject some pace and keep his confidence coming off of the bench right now. And I totally agree with what he said. It makes a lot of sense. He's coming forward so much more with his progression in the Conference League, and we want to keep that. And he will be ready for the Premier League. He will be ready for the Premier League starts. But as of right now, I think you've got Pedro Neto, you've got Jadon Sancho. They are going to play above him on that left-hand side. And there's even arguments for Noni to be dropped and have Neto or Sancho on the right. So at the moment, right now in current form, you've got Neto and Sancho that are fit, ready and available. And I genuinely think they are best options on the wide areas. But Mykhailo Mudryk had a fantastic game tonight, again, in the Conference League. Scored another screamer, and I'm just happy for him. And lastly, number 5, a strong defensive line. Now, I have said throughout this video that our defense sometimes had a lapse in concentration, or it was quite passive and lethargic. We conceded too many chances, and that is all true. But the flip side to that, the reason why we didn't lose this game was 2 massive things. 1, Jorgensen, unbelievable tonight. We've covered that. But 2, the defensive line we had and kept for the full game was impeccable. The amount of times that Heidenheim was caught offside was genuinely outrageous. The amount of times was crazy, right? They had 2 offside goals, so 2 goals disallowed because of our defensive line and the way that we were brave and kept that line, kept that structure. We believed in ourselves in that back line to not have someone go, oh, do we drop, do we not? They knew exactly what they were doing. And it's a credit to Maresca and the team to be able to have a game plan and stick to it. That was really, really good from us tonight. Now, the other side of that also is Heidenheim's runs maybe weren't of a similar quality of what we're used to seeing in, say, the Premier League. But I think that's 50 of one, 50 of the other, really. You have some poorly timed runs. That's going to happen. But the defensive line still has a job to do. And they was absolutely impeccable tonight in terms of keeping that line. It was something that was just refreshing to see. There have been times this season, whether it's the Premier League team, whether it's the Cup competition team, where we have conceded chances because that line hasn't been quite tight enough, or it's just been off, or one player's not dropped just as much. But against Heidenheim, we were brave, and it worked every single time. Every single time that Heidenheim had a chance in the box, most of the time it was called offside, or it was saved by Jorgensen. It was a perfect amalgamation of Jorgensen playing well and the back line keeping that line strong. It goes to show that we can do it, and we just need to do it on a more consistent basis. Now, in the Conference League specifically, our defense is playing rather well because, like I said, we've only conceded 3 goals so far in the entire competition, and that may change as the games go on. But we have set ourselves a very high standard defensively in this competition, and it just needs to be highlighted and it needs to be respected. Those are the 5 things that we learned from FC Heidenheim 0, Chelsea 2. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. Chelsea currently sit first in the Conference League table. A lot of people are expecting us to walk this competition. I've said time and time again that we take every game as it comes. Let's not take this for granted. Let's respect our opposition, but Chelsea are playing very well in this competition as expected. One of the main reasons I quite enjoy the Conference League is we are playing such a diverse bunch of teams. Our next 2 games against Astana and Shamrock Rovers, and we just don't know what we're going to get on the night. Some people will say we should steamroll them, and I understand the confidence and I understand the expectations, but I'm just enjoying every game as it comes. But if you did make it this far to the end of the video, there'll be a thumbnail on the screen. If you enjoy Chelsea content or you're a Chelsea fan, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.